I've probably seen 5 different hypnotherapists for this, at least 5 different hypnotherapists for this, but the public speaking problem was still there.
Hi and namaste. Today I have Jamie Holliman, hypnotherapist from Long Beach, California.
Hello.
Hi, Jamie. It's nice to have you back.
Thanks for
And
having me.
yeah, you're welcome. So Jamie and I worked together a few weeks ago, but she'd come with a specific problem relating to fear. We had one conversation, all of it 43 minutes, including the highs and Hawaiias. And here we are. The fear is taken care of. Jamie is back to talk about what happened. So Jamie, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Where were you before we worked together? And what were the things looking like when just before you called me? What was happening with you?
I was at a moment where, things were starting to change in my career. I was finally getting opportunities to present myself and to finally be out for the world to see, which is exactly what I had always wanted. But that is also my biggest fear. And it was something that I've spent my entire life trying to push through, to not succeed and pushing through to always feeling that fear. Basically, I've always had a fear of the spotlight, always had a fear of public speaking. It's been my number one biggest fear of all time, and it has controlled everything in my life. So I finally got an opportunity to be a speaker at basically an online summit. And I knew, okay, this is really important. I have to work through this because there's no way that I'm not going to do this. And I don't want to look like a jerk. So I've got to really work through this. So by that point, I was really at my wit's end and was just like, I don't know. I can't have this anymore. And I need to show up as who I am.
And so what were all the things that you tried before that didn't work out before reaching out to me? Did you try something else?
Oh, yeah. I've done multiple hypnotherapy sessions with different practitioners. I mean, when I was in hypnotherapy school originally, like 6 years ago, you had to work on people. You also had to be worked on. So that's what I was always looking at. I was always trying to work on that through school. Then I leave school and I would still have separate sessions. I've probably seen 5 different hypnotherapists for this, at least 5 different hypnotherapists for this, but the public speaking problem was still there. Seeing you, it was a different angle that I knew you would be taking and approaching. And that's why I came to see you.
It's interesting. So you're saying that there were certain effects that were carrying on with all of these different approaches you've made, but none of them were fully able to take out that fear of facing the crowd or being in a spotlight.
Yes, it was the physical sensation, because anybody who has a fear of public speaking knows that you feel it physically. And you're also kind of worried about, it's not even just speaking, you're worried is the crowd going to see that you are nervous? And that makes it worse. So those feelings of nerves within you, that's what becomes overwhelming. And that's what that you're trying to avoid happening. So everything else had changed, but that physical feeling of it was always there.
I see. Okay, and so what eventually brought you to me? Why did you reach out to me?
Because I knew that the way that you work is not the same as the way other hypnotherapists work. Just your style, the conversational style, is very different from a traditional, or not even traditional, but regression therapy. Like, I've gone back through a lot of regressions. I might have seen a lot of these problems. I know maybe where they're coming from, but it wasn't enough to work through the physical sensation. And I knew with you, I wasn't going to have that pressure of, all right, well, I'm going back into a memory. I've already been through these memories. Maybe I'm not going back to the right memory. Maybe I'm getting in my own way. Maybe I'm doing something where I'm just sabotaging myself. I knew that wasn't going to happen with this.
So you mentioned about your physical sensations, and that's a big one, right? Having gone through regression, all those different modalities, and which helped you to kind of look at what could be causing it, but that didn't release the problem. And physical sensations were still there when we spoke for those
Mhm.
40 odd minutes. And after that,
When I had this interview, I was feeling the physical sensations and the
mm,
normal anticipation.
yeah.
And that's when I get in my head. And the whole night before, I couldn't sleep. And I'm worried, all right, this is it. Am I going to go? Is this going to happen to me again? The usual get yourself in that flow. And right before, I felt the physical sensations, but I thought about what you told me in the session and the reassociation of the physical sensation. So
Mm,
it's not that you're going to get rid of the sensation, it's just that it means something else. And I
yeah.
realized that, yes, that nervousness is how I enter into a flow state. And when my mind just naturally brought myself back to what you said, immediately when I started that interview, it went away because the association now changed. So this entire time I've been trying to get rid of it, but really all
Mm.
I needed to do is just reframe what it even means.
Oh yeah.
That was the beauty of it.
Oh yeah. And I think that's the beauty of it, because those physical sensations mean that you actually are looking at this whole interview as something that matters to you. It matters to you, right? You're taking it, your body is showing you that you take this seriously. And so there is that excitement, which can be confused as nervousness, as you said, reframed. So
Yeah.
what would you say I said or did during our conversation? I think you already answered a bit of that that helped you a lot.
Just kind of reframing my perspective of who I am, what I'm even doing, and what it's like while I'm speaking. It actually really brought me to a perspective of, a lot of the public speaking fear was not wanting to sound like I don't know what I'm talking about, not wanting to look like an idiot or incompetent. But then it made me realize all the things I've done in my life and that like skills that I had, where it's
Mhm.
like, what was I crazy? Why was I ever thinking that? It really made me look at things at a different angle that I'm like, I've done so much. Why am I worried about that? And also, why do I care? Why do I even care?
Yeah, that's a good one. Why do you even care? Like, why do we get in that loop, right? And I suppose what we do in our conversations, and because you are also a conversational hypnotherapist yourself, you realize that what we do is just, in a way, invite people to step back from the problem, a few steps back, and then we start seeing things from a different perspective, from a higher perspective, right?
Mhm.
What would you say the sunny effect really is?
Oh, look at you coming in with the good questions. What would the sunny effect be? It's a lot. Just your presence, and just your ability to kind of let my mind do its thing, but also the fact that you could see what I can't see about myself. So to show me what I can't see in a way that there was no way that I would have been able to look at it. And then just to allow my mind to do its thing with no pressure on its own happening and not even knowing that it's happening. Like I don't even know what's going on when it's happening, but it is. And it was it's just so calming and the pressure is off. I don't even know how to explain it.
You're not
It's
the
very
only
hard to
one, huh?
explain.
It's very hard to explain. I've got this answer many times. Like, I here's the thing. I don't know how to explain it. How is that for an answer? But
Mhm.
I think you did pretty good in sharing what you experienced there. Just having the space to figure this out on your own, instead
Mhm.
of feeling judged or rushed into the answers. You figured, your mind was able to settle down and
Mhm.
figure this and piece it together on its own. And so there you have it. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm super proud of you and excited for what is coming up for you in the future with more of these summits and conversations. And of course, as a therapist, for your own self promotion. And
Yeah.
speaking of self promotion, I don't want to lose out on letting people know where they can find you, because you are working with precise stuff like autoimmune diseases and things to do with holistic health, and how you help people come out of that using hypnosis and your understanding of the human consciousness. So why don't you shout out and let the audience know where they can find you?
You can find me directly on my website. That is www.jamieholliman.com. You can find me on Instagram under Jamie Lynn Holliman. I do a lot of videos, giving people what I can't give them during a session. I try to give them through social media. So those would be the two best places to find me, is my website or social media.
Amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, Jamie Holliman, hypnotherapist extraordinaire and a beautiful human being. Thank you so much, Jamie, for doing this. And I wish you all the very best.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.